G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm testing the Garmin R10 versus the GC3. Get excited, I'm super keen to test the R10. I haven't had it out for a while, and look, I didn't want to forget about the R10 users. This channel started because of the Garmin R10 and my love for the Garmin R10 and indoor golf, so I had to test it out against the GC3. This GC3 was kindly lent to me by Sam from Bayside Golf. If you haven't checked out Bayside Golf, if you're looking to buy a home simulator or an enclosure in Australia, look no further than Bayside Golf. Sam has made an incredible enclosure. This thing is going to be the highest quality enclosure you can get in Australia. The way the actual screen sits on the frame, it sits perfectly flat, which means if you project an image onto it, it's gonna look amazing. It's not gonna have wrinkles. It's not gonna look saggy. It's going to hold its shape. It's going to look nice for the whole life of the actual enclosure. It is just a really well thought out and well designed enclosure. When I first built this whole thing, Bayside wasn't open. And so I looked at other people, I looked at other options out there. And in the end, I just said, I'm just going to build my own just because I wanted it to look nice and neat. If I was in the market today, I'd definitely go and hit up Sam from Bayside Golf. This video is not sponsored. I don't have any affiliation to Bayside Golf. This is just me speaking from personal experience and just looking at the market and looking at the products out there. Okay, with that, let's get started. Like I said, I am checking out the Garmin R10. We're going to do our standard test. I'm going to start with 60-yard shots, and then we're going to move back to driver. I have laser aligned both of these units. I have based the Foresight's alignment off the Garmin R10's alignment. So I laser aligned the Garmin, and then I based the Foresight's alignment off that laser align. So it should be perfect. We should be seeing tight horizontal launch angles today. With that, let's get started with these 60-yard shots. I am also using RCT golf balls for this test, so we should have accurate spin from the Garmin. I'll see how I go on these short shots using the RCT golf balls. I found that the Garmin doesn't like the RCT golf balls on chipping or pitch shots, but we'll see how we go. And if they start to interfere with the chipping or pitching, then I'll go to a regular ball just for this 60-yard shot. Okay, it's red, finally. Negative 1.9 spin axis on the Foresight. We had a negative 0.6 spin axis on the Garmin, so it was a baby draw. I am using normal golf balls for these shots, not RCT golf balls, because I feel like these shots, RCT golf balls, interfere with the Garmin. For whatever reason, I get random misreads. Launch angles, we had left 0.2 on the Foresight, 0.4 right on the Garmin. That's within tolerances for me. That's within a degree. Slightly higher launch on the Garmin, but overall not too bad. Spin axis pretty good, to be honest. Okay, again, pretty much an identical shot there from the Foresight. Look at the Garmin spin axis there, 4.6 right versus a baby draw on the Foresight. Launch angles pretty tight. Horizontal launch angles within 0.1 of a degree, so that's very interesting. A big fade on the Garmin versus a baby draw on the Foresight. Okay, a little bit of a pull draw on the Foresight, and we've had a draw on the Garmin there. So negative 2.5 spin axis on the Foresight versus negative 1.1 on the Garmin. Horizontal launch angles within a degree. So all that data looks pretty good. Launch angle slightly higher on the Garmin. Carry distance slightly longer on the Garmin. Might be due to the low spin because this is a normal golf ball, so a little bit lower spin, slightly higher ball speed, not much, but that's potentially contributing to that, 2 or 3 yard extra carry distance on the Garmin with the awesome golf app, I should say. Okay, pretty much a dead straight shot on the Foresight. 0.6 of a spin axis to the right. We had a 1.5 spin axis to the right on the Garmin. Carry distances, again, slightly longer on the Garmin, but like I said, with that spin rate, with a bit more launch, I mean, the launch angle there was significantly higher on the Garmin, both coming off slightly right. So very interesting. Just looking at spin axis though, it was the same way, the Garmin showing a bit more of a fade than the Foresight there. Okay, not a bad shot. A little bit of a fade from the Foresight and a little bit of a fade from the Garmin. Both pretty good. I'll let you guys dig through the rest of the data. Horizontal launch angles, both slightly right. I mean, overall, it's not too bad. At least they've got the same shot shape. The Garmin showing slightly more of a fade there than the Foresight. That was a bad shot. Way long, look at that. Big draw from the Foresight and dead straight from the Garmin. Carry distance is again slightly longer on the Garmin, but like I said, that spin and the ball speed potentially contributing to that slightly longer carry distance. Okay, let's go one more 60-yard shot. Best one of the day. Baby draw on the Foresight versus a dead straight shot on the Garmin. All right, I know I said one more, but we're going to do one more. Oh, that was a nice shot. We're back. Dead straight, 0.3 of a right spin axis on the Foresight, 3.2 spin axis on the Garmin. So the Garmin there showing a bit more of a fade than the Foresight. And I have to say that was kind of the theme of the 60-yard shots. Let's go to the launch angle. Garmin saying it came off 0.2 left versus 0.5 right on the Foresight. Okay, let's go to pitching wedge. So far, the theme of the day, the Garmin is showing a bit more fade than the GC3. I'm going to switch over to RCT golf balls now for these full shots. Okay, not the best shot. A little bit out the heel, but into out swing path. Side spin and spin axis, 0.0 on the Foresight. We had a pretty decent fade there on the Garmin, so very interesting. Spin rates are the same. Let's look at HLA. 0.9 right versus 1.2 right. Vertical launch 23.9 versus 22.2. So yeah, a bit more of a fade on the Garmin. Okay, better shot there. Little baby draw on the Foresight. And we had a fade on the Garmin again, so very interesting. Let's look at horizontal launch, 0.9 right versus 0.7 right. We're just seeing the Garmin with a fade and the Foresight with a draw. I'll let you guys dig into the rest of that data. That was a really solid strike. Best swing of the day. We've had a baby draw with the Foresight. We've had another fade with the Garmin. I mean, it's pretty consistent. That is it's a theme. We're definitely seeing a theme. Ball speed slightly higher on the Garmin as well. The actual horizontal launch angles are quite good between both units. So I have got these things aligned. Vertical launch, the Garmin definitely showing a bit more vertical launch, but the biggest thing I'm seeing is that spin axis. Left the face slightly open there, so that looks legit on the Foresight. Garmin, that's funny. So that felt like more of a fade. The Garmin's actually got that going dead straight now. So we've got a baby draw pretty much dead straight on the Foresight, and again, pretty much dead straight on the Garmin. Both taking off slightly right. 1.8 on the Garmin versus 2.1 on the Foresight. Spin rates identical. Ball speed slightly higher on the Garmin again, which is probably contributing to that extra distance I'm getting in the Awesome Golf app. Slightly higher ball speed from the Garmin so far. That's a little bit left, I think. Well, not too far left, to be honest. 2.8 spin axis from the Foresight and pretty much a dead straight shot on the Garmin. Both, let's have a look at horizontal launch angle. 0.8 right on the Garmin versus 0.4 right on the Foresight. Vertical launch is 24.3 versus 22.6. So the Garmin has definitely got a higher vertical launch. I have got this thing perfectly flat. I have got it on my alignment stand, and the little bubble is indicating that it's perfectly flat. Okay, let's do one more pitching wedge. Definitely seeing a theme. That's left. I pulled it and it's going left. So negative 5.9 spin axis on the Foresight. At least we had a left spin axis there on the Garmin, left 1.0. Spin rates are identical. Carry distances, again, we've got a little bit extra ball speed out of the Garmin, so it's going a bit further. Both took off, no, the Garmin actually took off 0.9 right there. The Foresight took off 0.6 left. It definitely felt like a pull off the face. So yeah, the shot from the Foresight there, definitely accurate. That is exactly what it felt like. Let's go to 7-iron now. Flush. Don't want that one back. Little baby draw from the Foresight, starting right with a negative 4.1 spin axis. Look at the Garmin now. It's come to play. We've got a left 3.8 spin axis there. That looks legit. Both starting 1 degree right, both with a little draw. And that is exactly what it felt like. We even have VLA there a little bit tighter. It's only 1 degree now. And that club data looks absolutely legit from the Garmin. So the Garmin there read that shot absolutely perfectly. Ball speeds, pretty close. A little bit higher again on the Garmin. Flush. That was a really nice strike. Best one of the day. Oh, go in. What a shot. All right, left 1.6 spin axis on the Foresight. The Garmin, left 2. So the Garmin is reading these 7-irons correctly. I haven't changed anything. Ball speed's definitely higher on the Garmin. Look at that, 123 versus 121.8. But shot shapes, I mean, they look pretty much perfect. Spin rates are perfect. It amazes me how good these RCT golf balls are at capturing spin with the Garmin. The backspin is perfect. Looking at that, again, club data looks solid. Horizontal launch angles are solid. So that, again, was a perfectly read shot by the Garmin. Oh, it might be a little left. It is. Just turned it over a bit too much. Negative 5.6 spin axis on the Foresight. Okay, Garmin's gone dead straight, so that's a bit of a discrepancy. Horizontal launch angles, the Garmin took off a degree extra to the right there, so very interesting. Launch angles, Garmin's definitely launching higher. But yeah, shot shape there, a little bit incorrect there, I'm going to say, from the Garmin. Flush. Really nice shot. Started 1.4 degrees right on the Foresight with a baby draw, 3.1 or negative 3.1 spin axis. The Garmin did have a little draw there, 0.8 left spin axis. Vertical launches there were really accurate and horizontal launches were perfect as well. So that shot there was pretty good from the Garmin. Spin axis though is just a little bit less than the Foresight. So the Garmin seems to be handling 7-irons actually really well. Oh, not the best strike. Bit of a pull hook. Negative 5.6 spin axis on the Foresight. Garmin, it was pretty much dead straight. I mean, yeah, 0.4 of a left spin axis. Ball speeds, again, slightly higher on the Garmin. Yeah, the Foresight there just showing a bit more of a draw. Both taking off slightly right. The Garmin took off further right. But yeah, spin axis, discrepancy there. That was nice. Little baby draw. I mean, that's perfect. Go in. Okay, negative 2.8 spin axis on the Foresight. Negative 3.1 spin axis on the Garmin. Yes. Okay. It took off 1.3 degrees right on the Garmin, 1.5 degrees right on the Foresight. That club data looks legit on the Garmin. Again, vertical launch is now tight, 16.3 versus 16.1. So all of that data there on the Garmin for that shot looks perfect. So it does this. It has these shots that are perfect. It's estimating data. So sometimes it estimates it correctly, other times it doesn't. I mean, that seems to be what the Garmin's doing. Let's hit some 4-irons now. Hopefully I can hit the 4-irons as good as I just hit those 7-irons. Oh, it's left. Not a good swing. We've hooked it. So the Foresight saying that that took off slightly left and had a significant draw. The Garmin saying it took off pretty much dead straight, and it had a baby draw. So baby draw on the Garmin versus, I'm gonna say, look, it's a big draw. It's not quite a hook, it's a big draw on the Foresight. So a little bit of a discrepancy there, but at least both units read the same shot shape, which is good. Spin rates, again, I mean, they are spot on. Okay. Started right and had a negative 9.1 spin axis on the Foresight. Had a 2-degree right spin axis on the Garmin, and it started right. So the Garmin had that right with basically a baby fade. The Foresight had that right with a baby draw, or actually, it's quite a big draw actually. So big draw on the Foresight versus a baby fade on the Garmin. I did tow that one, so potentially gear effect coming into effect there that the Garmin couldn't pick up on. I did tow that one, so potentially a bit of gear effect there that the Garmin didn't pick up on. Not a good strike. Duffed it. It took off right with a baby fade on the Foresight. It took off slightly right again on the Garmin, and it went dead straight. So discrepancy there, spin axis. Again, a heavy shot. Not the best swing. 1.2 spin axis on the Foresight, 3.6 spin axis on the Garmin. So at least they're showing the same spin axis, and both units took off to the right. Vertical launch, 12.4 on the Garmin versus 11.6 on the Foresight. Definitely took off left with a draw, which is what the Foresight said. The Garmin had that taking off, I mean, pretty much dead straight, 0.3 right, and going dead straight. So pretty big discrepancies there. I've hit some pretty bad shots with the Foresight hooking, and they've actually been dead straight on the Garmin. So, I mean, you could almost save yourself during your round if you're using the Garmin, hit some bad 4-irons and get away with it going dead straight on the Garmin. Again, we got a decent draw on the Foresight. Oh, look at that on the Garmin, a massive fade. So, I mean, it just read it completely different there. It's saying the club face was open 3.9 to the path, which would produce that shot. But to be honest, I don't think it was. Very, very interesting. Completely opposite shots there. That was the best one I've hit today. Really nice shot. We've had a baby draw with the Foresight. I'm not going to hit one better than that today, so we'll end on that one for the 4-irons. That one on the Garmin, though, had a fade again, so 3.1 fade. Horizontal launch angles were pretty much identical. The Garmin just reading that as a fade. Vertical launch angles were pretty good. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, time for driver. And I'm telling you what, it is seriously hot in my garage today. Okay, driver time. Okay, really nice shot there with the Foresight. Negative 2.2 spin axis, so a little baby draw. The Garmin had that going dead straight. So when you hit it out the middle, the actual shot shape is pretty good on the Garmin. Both taking off slightly right. Vertical launch of 11.3 versus 11.9. Spin rates, 233 difference there. But you've got all your data there. Even ball speeds were really good there. 158 versus 158.8. Okay, not the best strike. Negative 1.6 spin axis, so a baby draw from the Foresight. Look at the Garmin, massive fade there. I mean, that is really interesting. Look at the club. So we're hitting up on it. Vertical launch 11.3 versus 10.5. Club path slightly left. Okay, that's saying the face to path was 3.1 open. Both started right. That's a big discrepancy. So massive fade from the Garmin versus pretty much a dead straight shot on the Foresight. Okay, that was not a good swing, bit of a toe draw. Let's see what the Garmin says. Dead straight. So ball speed's pretty good. Garmin showing a mile an hour greater or more. So 158.1 versus 157.1. Baby draw on the Foresight. It did feel like a toe draw. All the rest of the data there looks pretty good apart from spin. So spin's obviously just been missed by the Garmin there. We've got estimated spin of 3,000 versus the actual spin of 2150, which I would expect because I did toe that. So I would expect the spin rate to drop. Let's have a look at HLA, 3.3 right versus 4.1 right on the Foresight. Okay. Started left with a draw on the Foresight, negative 5.6. On the Garmin, it started pretty much dead straight or 0.3 right and 0 spin axis, so dead straight. It missed the club data. Whenever the Garmin misses the club data, it'll give you a dead straight shot. Spin rate there again being estimated by the Garmin. Okay, bit of a draw there. All right, I'm going to call it a hook from the Foresight. Negative 13.1 spin axis versus a baby fade there from the Garmin. Looking across, club data there very neutral from the Garmin. Horizontal launch 1.2 right versus 1.7 right. The only real big discrepancy there was the spin axis, where even spin rates on the Garmin captured that one. We've had a pretty decent sized draw on the Foresight versus a dead straight shot on the Garmin. That was a bad swing. That was so far out of the toe. Spins dropped on the Foresight, which is what you expect. Ball speeds, I mean, pretty much identical. So really good stuff there. Spin rate on the Garmin was correct, 1500 versus 17. So yeah, actually spin axis was 1.3 left on the Garmin, which is really good. Negative 6.9 spin axis there on the Foresight. See, I'm not going to take any of these shots out. You're going to see all of the shots today. The good, the bad, and the ugly. A little bit left with a draw. The Garmin had that starting left as well, but it missed the club data, so it went dead straight. Okay, much better swing. Took off slightly right on the Foresight with a baby draw. Took off slightly right on the Garmin, and it went dead straight, again missing that club data. Okay, we've had a baby draw again from the Foresight, taking off right. Negative 4 for a spin axis. And we've had club data finally from the Garmin, which gave us a 2.3 left spin axis. So hey, we've had one read a draw, which is really cool. So looking at that, it's taken off right 1.2 and had a baby draw versus taking off 2.6 right with a bit more of a draw. But all of that data looks good there from the Garmin. Look at the carry yardage, 270 versus 270. So that's really cool. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's finish with a good one. Okay, so we had 3.3 right, dead straight on the Foresight. We've had dead straight on the Garmin. It did miss the club data, so that's why it's gone dead straight. And it's taken off 2.1 to the right on the Garmin. So those shots there, pretty good in terms of accuracy. Carry distance is 270.6 on the Foresight or GS Pro versus 278 on the Garmin. Okay, so wrapping all of that up. To be honest, I think what I saw from the Garmin, the 7-irons were actually pretty good. But apart from that, it was doing a lot of estimating and it seemed to have a bit more of a fade spin than the actual Foresight, which is really interesting. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I haven't used my Garmin R10 for a long time. Like I said, both of these units I laser aligned, so they should have been absolutely perfect. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think. What have you seen using it a lot? Do you think it is a bit more fade bias? Let me know your thoughts and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.